Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast. This is your pre-match build-up as we face a I want to say tricky away tie at St Mirren, who have been playing fairly well so far this season, and quite possibly the starting lineup might have raised a few eyebrows. Not sure. I mean, Brian's just not interested. Brian's in his own wee world.
No.
You're all right, Brian?
Yes, very well, thank you. Long day at work yesterday, but looking forward to the game today.
Really good kind of pre-match chat we had there, wasn't it? Getting all the stuff together for the show and
just throw me under the bus. Thanks very much.
I hope everybody's well watching. Hello, welcome. Make sure you get the likes and make sure you get subscribing on YouTube and following on Twitter and Facebook, etc., etc. Like I said, I'm joined by Brian. Hello, Brian. Also, Stu and Davey. Stu, how are you?
I feel like I've been ill for about 2 months, but apart from that, not too bad. Good to see. Good to get back to some league action, and just looking forward to a bit of a lineup, which obviously we're going to go into. But just it's good to be in a place where you're just excited to watch them again. So can't wait.
You do look as if you've been ill for 2 months as well.
Cheers.
Davey, how are you?
I mean, I look like I've been ill for 2 months, but that's because I was up playing Football Manager all last night.
You look like you're just out of Barry. Who are you trying to kid?
I know, mate. Honestly, it was a rough one, but I managed to take Crystal Palace to the Champions League, so it was well worth it.
And that is how unrealistic Football Manager is. I get sacked for East Fife, if that's any consolation, after half a season. I don't even know how that happened.
How's your save going on, by the way?
I lost all my saves. All my saved games get deleted somehow. I put a new hard drive in my computer, and I've lost a lot of stuff. So I had to start again, and it didn't go as well. I didn't get to the Champions League final with Rangers in the first season. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Rangers against St Mirren. Stu, you mentioned it, the starting lineup. So I will quickly run through it. It's Jack Butland in goals, back for a James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, obviously back after suspension. Suter, who keeps his place, and of course the much talked about Ridvan Yilmaz, who after all these kind of transfer speculation has played every game. And then there's a slight change at the midfield with Lundstrom, Raskin, and Sterling coming in after obviously replacing Raskin at half time the other night and seeming to do pretty well. And then there's a couple of changes in the front three. Cantwell. But we have Wright and Dessers. Wright coming in to start. Dessers coming back in, obviously, for Silva. So, Stu, strange lineup, or do we just have full belief in the manager that he knows exactly what he's doing?
Full belief in the manager, of course. I think it's a difficult one to unpack, that team, because we're trying to work out formation just based on names on a sheet, and they do tend to put them in formation order. So we can assume from that it's Cantwell and Wright out wide. But yeah,
change of formation, maybe.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know why he would at this point, especially when we've still got the players to play the formation he likes and the formation he's been playing. I don't see why we would sort of tear it up and just try something new today. I'm not saying it's not the case, but I can't see why we would. Cantwell obviously has played out wide on occasion. It's not his strongest position, but it's something he can do. I do wonder if it's going to be a case that's it's a sort of Sterling and Cantwell are going to be switching roles a bit, so Cantwell can drift into that number 10 role a lot more, and Sterling, obviously being the athlete he is, can go out and cover wide. Not probably the best crosser of a ball, but obviously we've got Tavernier down the right hand side anyway, so it's not too much of an issue. I don't know. I'm really interested to see what once you see it on the pitch. Maybe it's going to obviously make a lot more sense. It's very, very hard to work out from there. Even the position Wright's playing, you know, for me is when he comes on anyway. We tend to use him on the right hand side. Are we going to be putting him on the left hand side today, or is that where we're going to have Cantwell drifting in? It's very, very interesting to say the least. But we've got plenty of options on the bench as well. So I'm not too worried if it doesn't start as expected.
Well, I mean, the bench is Robbie McCrory, Silva, Jack, Lawrence, Matondo, Balogun, Barisic, Devine, and McCausland, Davey. So there's width on the bench, but to me, looking at that starting lineup, apart from Wright, there's no real width in that team.
No, there isn't, Martin. It's no the biggest pitches at New St Mirren Park or whatever that stadium's called these days. So perhaps, as Stu's alluded to, it's maybe going to be a sort of narrow midfield three, and all of them are sort of going to chop and change position. I think Lundstrom might play a wee bit deeper in front of the centre halves and pick up the ball, and you might find that Sterling's used as the ball carrier to take the ball from central positions, and you might see the sort of front three interchange at times and all sort of move positions. I don't think Dessers is the best when he's isolated and just sort of in one bit. When he sort of looks to move and link up play and sort of, when I say move, I mean move as best as Dessers can for Dessers, but he will try and stretch the game at times. I don't think he's great when he plays on the shoulder because he's too often caught offside. So I kind of think Lundstrom might play a sort of Himdani role today. We're Raskin and Sterling in front of him, but then again, it's just guesswork at the moment.
Well, give us your best guess then, Brian, for that team. Like I say, I'm trying to put, as we often mention on here now, because I think we're all quite avid Football Manager players, I'm looking at like a 4-2-2-2-2-2-2-2-2-2-2.
I think there's a good chance that all three of Lundstrom, Raskin and Sterling could take a shot of being number 6 in this game. They've all got the capability of doing it, and they've all got a capability of being, going forward and helping out. I think, as Davey just said there, it's going to be a narrow pitch, so width is not going to be a premium. I think it's going to be quite a sort of packed midfield, and it's going to be a low block possibly. So it's almost going to be a case of, I would say, Lundstrom, Raskin or Sterling, whoever's the sort of deepest line out of the three is going to hold that 6 role until I think it really could be a case of they all sort of interswitch and move around, and I think cause a little bit of chaos in there, because to sort of for St Mirren to struggle to pick them up. They've all, as I say, they've all got capabilities of going forward. They've all got good engines in them, so it really could be a total mishmash, and they all take a turn in being the number 6, and 2 of them take a turn in being a bit more positive and a bit more going forward. So, as you say, the only sort of designated winger is Wright, but maybe he could play a bit more inside. Maybe this is a revert back to the old 2-10 system, like we used to play.
Well, I mean, Cantwell out wide just worries me. Was it not the last time he's played out wide? He was hooked within about half an hour for not doing his job properly. But Stu, just quickly then, in terms of St Mirren, having a good season, I suppose you could say, for St Mirren. Maybe the surprise in the SPFL this season maybe being Kilmarnock. Sitting in 4th, but St Mirren sitting in 5th. Their home record's actually decent. They've won 5, drawn 3, lost 3. They've got a goal difference of +2. They've got 14 for and 12 against. So not an easy place to go. You're on mute, by the way.
Oh, I didn't speak. I caught it. Yes, I think, to be honest, from what I've noticed of them, certainly since the New Year's turned, they've not been as good at home as maybe they started off in the season. I seem to sort of just from the prediction league we do in the Scottish Football Show that lately I feel like they're good on the road, but they're struggling a little bit at home. Obviously, they sort of got turned over by Celtic a while back with the very quick early goals and the red card. But yeah, they've dropped a few points at home. Kilmarnock have gone and won there, and then on the road they've gone and smashed Aberdeen. So at the moment, I do wonder if the confidence at home is lacking a bit, because they are struggling a little bit there. Goals wise, it's dried up a little bit for them, which happens in this league. A lot of these teams take points off each other. How many times you remember the top 6? Going into that 33rd game, so many people can still get into the top 6 because it always ends up very, very close. So I think they're probably going through a little bit of a lull at the moment, because I remember they started really well under Stephen Robinson, and everyone was sort of singing their praises, and rightfully so, because they were superb early on. I think we've got to make the most of this lull maybe that they are in. They're certainly at home. They're not scoring a lot of goals. If we can start fast, we can get that early goal, and just kill the game early, man. 1 or 2 goals before halftime, like we did against Hibs. Get into halftime 2-0 up. Ideally, I know it's ideally. and just don't give them any hope. Because the longer these games go on, especially when you're away from home and they've got the low block, the crowd start getting a bit more confident. We start getting a bit edgy, and I think we're in a really good headspace right now. So we don't need to be bringing on any unwanted pressures. So I've been impressed with them so far, but I do think we're playing them, and this is the touch wood scenario, but I think we're playing them at the right time for where they are right now, which maybe is why Clement is testing the waters a little bit with a different team, and Clement is testing the waters a little bit with a different team, and maybe resting a few players, because obviously Europe's right round the corner as well. That's going to be coming back up. Cups, we're still in everything, and the league as well, and it's such an important run of games coming up. So can maybe understand why he's choosing now to give some players a rest.
Just in terms of St Mirren as well, quickly, Davey, like Stu's absolutely spot on. Their top goal, they've got 3 people joint top goal scorer for them. Greg Kiltie, Mikael Mandarin and Mark O'Hara with 3 goals. So their goal scoring isn't fantastic. However, we do have previous with Mark O'Hara, don't we?
Yeah, he seems to be one of those guys that has a knack of scoring against Rangers. You see him sort of every season, no matter where he's been in his career. He always seems to pop up with one. St Mirren, earlier on in the season, were playing great football. If you remember, I'm pretty sure on a podcast, Martin, when things weren't going too well for Hearts at the time, we were touting Robinson for a potential move to Tynecastle. And earlier on in the season, Boyd Munce was particularly sort of influential in their play. They sort of play in and around, the box. They don't necessarily, play out wide. So that maybe alludes to why Clement has tried to sort of centralise our key figures today by, playing the sort of solid 3 in midfield, and he's maybe just trying to win the battle first, and then if we win the battle, we'll see Rangers play, and that should take care of itself thereafter.
Greg Kiltie's also got the most assists with 3 as well, along with Scott Tanser, so he's clearly been their key player this season. Did you like that there where I brought up a wee bit of stats? Was that a wee bit too professional looking, Brian? I don't want to appear to be more professional than what I actually am.
No, it was impressive, must admit. It was very good.
See what happens when you Google a football club? I've never done that before, so it just brings up all this information about them when you get to know stuff. Thank you, Alison. I don't ever remember getting that mug, so I don't know where that's. I just picked the first one at the cupboard for my coffee. That is all I absolutely do. But Brian, back to us then, because that's what we're here to talk about. The manager has spoke so often about having to rotate. We've got so many games coming up. I have noticed a bit of a lull and I'm not criticising, and I'm going to come back to a point in a minute, by the way, because I took some grief off of Richie last night, and nobody got the point that I was making in that reaction, but I'll come back to that in a minute. The manager talked about rotation, and like I say, McCausland just looked a wee bit off it. He's a young boy coming into the team, so he has to rest players at some point, and he has to make changes at some point.
Absolutely. It's a busy period where you've got you've just come off the winter break, and of course
somebody's vibrating horrendously, by the way.
There's my phone, sorry. I've got it set up in front of me so I can see what's happening. So it's sort of all hell for leather just now, because it's catching up with league games and midweeks, and he always said that he would rely on the squad and rotate when needed. He obviously sees the guys all the time in training. Dessers, he still flatters to deceive, but the guy still manages to score. So you've got to, he's been playing pretty decently recently. So he comes in instead of Silva, because Silva's still not quite, I would say, 90-minute match fit. Although he did put a good shift in at Easter Road. But yeah, Wright's always pretty good in the Premier League as well. So, and McCausland, we've discussed before that he's played more minutes probably than he ever imagined, purely because of the injury situation. So he's been flagging for a few weeks. So it's nice to see him just get a wee rest and somebody else come in.
It would be remiss of us as well, Stu. I know we need to build up to the game, but just quickly, because it wasn't us that was on last night. We've obviously made a new signing, Mohamed Diamande. Your thoughts?
Listen, purely from Football Manager, he's going to be the best player in the world. He is sensational on Football Manager, and I trust them with my life. So, he's obviously very highly rated over there. Just reading up on what a few of the guys in Denmark were saying about him. He's one of the top prospects in Denmark. Watched obviously the classic YouTube clips that can make even Cyril Dessers look a world beater, but he does look very good. He looks very sharp. He can run with the ball. Traveling with the ball is so important. He's strong. He tackles. He's a big boy. He chips in with goals. So yeah, the Diamonde in the rough there. Yeah, he's certainly very, very exciting. But as people will probably point out, I was with Lewis in absolutely nailing my flag to the mast of Sifu and saying that he was going to be out. And I still think there's a player at Sifu, and he's still going to be big for us. But I thought he was going to come in and be an instant impact player. So I'm not getting I'm just holding judgment a little bit, but I am really, really excited for him. Really. I mean, when's he going to be in? Boys waiting for that work permit, isn't it? So I'm hoping he's going to be available for the Livingston match. But just really excited to see what's doing. And these are the types of players. I know some people were a bit frustrated that we're looking at large sums of monies on maybe a position that we're not desperate for right now. But I think when certain players become available, when this player trader model we've talked about, he's 22 years old. He's got a massive future in the game. I just don't think you can turn down certain opportunities. You've got to think about the future. As much as you've got to think about the here and now, you've got to think about the future. And I think if you just look at is it Nordsjælland, if you look at their track record of what they've produced, even recently that Adrian going to Brighton and Kudus in West Ham, they've got such a good track record of producing these guys from that Bright to Dream Academy, selling them for huge profits, and not just sending them on, those players going on and doing really well. We've always talked about going to Bodo Glimt, whose players inevitably go to big clubs and maybe don't perform. Whereas when you see these players coming out of Denmark, they're going on to bigger and better things. So a real exciting one, and just can't wait to see him play now.
And exactly the type of markets, David, that we have to shop in. I can't remember if I read it online or I heard somebody saying it in a podcast. I can't remember, but they're absolutely right. We now, unless you get an absolute bargain in League One, League Two England that you've scouted and you're pretty sure is going to go on and do well, I think the English leagues now, we have to ignore them. We're not shopping in those markets anymore.
I think we're starting to see the early signs of Koppen and how he operates. The prime example of, his PSV transfer business is finding Sangari and then punting him for as much money as they did to Nottingham Forest. A lot of PSV's sort of squad was built over a 2-3 year period, and then now you're really starting to see it, come to the fore. And I think this guy, he started off as just a scout, and has worked in every football department up until transfer operations, and he's got a proven track record. He's got contacts the world over, and it's what we're wanting to see. And I think with this particular signing, it's something that we've lacked for a good 4 or 5 years, is a sort of attacking midfield player, someone that we can have central who's not a ball winner, who can carry the ball, who can link up play and play from a central position. It is just the type of midfielder that we've lacked in terms of playing forward quickly. I think we all thought that Raskin would be that type of player, but whilst he did have a sort of good 6 month spell towards the end of last season, we've not seen it regularly enough, and I'm still not sure what type of player he is and what his best position is. Whereas I think with Diamande...
Dare I say, David, Glenn Kamara?
Well, Glenn Kamara could probably be the last player that we had, but Glenn Kamara, for me, had all the attributes to be far more attacking than he was for Rangers, because he could take the ball anywhere in the pitch and protect it and play it in and around, and he just didn't do it often enough. Whereas I think Diamande's got maybe more attacking a 10, and we'll see that come to the fore when he's back in the team.
How a St Mirren build up we end up talking about Kamara, I've got absolutely no idea. But there you go, that's how it goes. Apparently, Brian, Stephen Davis is in co-coms. I'm not I don't know if
I'm
that's
just
Sky.
watching it. I am watching it currently. He's sitting with the big pudding that we all don't like, and Chris Boyd. He's speaking with Ailey Barber on the pre-show, and of course, when we last played St Mirren, he was the interim manager. So
Of course,
it's a nice
of
wee
course.
bit of full circle there.
And yeah, obviously, very quickly, Brian, because I do want to touch on the game at some point. He announced his retirement. Absolutely phenomenal, fantastic servant, a proper legend of our football club. But I mean, what's he retiring? What's he retiring with? How many medals has he got?
Oh, it's not as many as other players and all this, but he's
He's only won several top league
only
titles.
several cups and leagues.
He's
and,
only got to a
2
European final.
finals.
He's only captained
Yeah.
his country and got the most appearances of a British player. So I mean, he could have done better.
Could have done better. It's a poor haul, to be fair, but no. He's. I think young players should look at him in the way that he conducts himself. You've never seen him in the front pages of the papers. He was a quiet man. He was very family orientated. He went to his work and did his business and slinked away and never seeked the limelight. But a phenomenal footballer. I'll tell you what we would give for a Stephen Davis 2.0 right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I think actually for the ability that he had, especially when he went down south, I think he was really underrated. I think he was an absolutely phenomenal player. All right, okay, Stu, back to the game today then. Changes in defence, obviously Connor Goldson coming back in. Suter keeps his place. Happy with Goldson and Suter at the back?
I am. I do like Suter. I just think he's going to be long term. I mean, if there's a long term, it's going to be on the right hand side of defence for him. I do like the natural left hand, right hand side, but listen, Goldson has to come back in. I understand that. For me, Suter is the next best option. I know Balogun's come in and he's done fine. He still has that recovery pace, which I was a bit worried about when we signed him at his age and injuries. Suter, the only thing is he does have a little bit of a mistake in him, as we've seen. But I think the more game time he gets, again, touch wood, he seems to be having a good run injury free. Which, considering the injuries we have, it's baffling that one of the most injury prone guys I've seen is the guy staying injury free at the moment. He's a very good player. He's one of those guys that we want in centre back because he can play football and he can bring the ball out like Goldson. He can pick a pass long. Goldson's short range passing is not the best, but Suter can also whip those diags. He's very good with the ball at his feet. He's very confident. He's good in the air. Gives us a threat in the opposition box, which we don't really have. Goldson will win a lot in the opposition box, but his 50p head you just never know where it's going to go when he wins it. So Suter definitely gives us a bit more presence in the opposition box as well as our own box. Confident when he's in there, and I think the more he plays, the better he's going to get for us. He's finally now, hopefully, cementing a bit of a place down. I know we're sort of chopping and changing that role a little bit with Balogun and Suter, and then Davies comes in from time to time. So these are the opportunities that I think if you're John Suter, you have to go and take now, because there's not only a position for the rest of this season and beyond at centre back that's up for grabs, but long term, Connor Goldson's not going to be around forever. So you want to be cementing your place as one of the guys, because Clement has already made it very clear he's not bothered about going out and using Coppin and getting players for any position. We've just gone inside of a central midfield style player in a position that we probably needed the least right now. So no one's safe, I think, in terms of where they play. And I think it's a massive opportunity for players like John Suter to say, I'm your man going forward and put the trust in him. He's also Scottish, which helps with the homegrown thing. And just all round a player. He was one of those players that I've always wanted us to sign when he was at Hearts. Wanted us to get when he was at Dundee United, to be honest. And then he's come in. He's not quite lived up to the hype, but I think he's been a bit unlucky with injuries and what else. So hopefully he's got a good future ahead of him at Rangers, because he's we could do with good solid Scottish players that make up a core of this squad. And for me, he's certainly got all the ability. It's just whether or not he can continue to produce that and cement that first team place down.
I mean, Balogun has been in good form, Davey, it has to be said. But Stu mentioned confidence. Stu mentioned Goldson. Do we have more confidence in this back four, back five when Connor Goldson plays?
I think it's a fair point, Martin. I think the longer Goldson is at the team, you do start to see him miss. I think the problem is, at the moment this season, it has been chop and change. As Stu said, Ben Davies come in for a bit more so the European games. John Souters had a run at it. Leon Balogun was beginning to have a consistent run at it. But the one constant through all three of those partners has been Goldson for the vast majority. And there's a bit of solidity with him and Tavernier on the right-hand side. I think you've seen a vast improvement in the amount of goals that we concede from that area of the pitch. For a good 3-year spell, it seemed to be in behind Tav and Goldson was where we were leaking most of our goals. That seems to have stopped at the moment, and I certainly hope I'm not tempting fate. I think that Balogun was having a good partnership with Ridvan, though, so I think that has to said. So there might be a slight adjustment in terms of Suter getting used to Ridvan when Ridvan comes inside the pitch, or when Ridvan decides to go forward. That might be an area that St Mirren might try and exploit today. So I'll be interested to see how we sort that. But yep, just to go back to the question that you raised, for me, Connor Goldson will always be the first centre half in the team sheet.
And it's no surprise, Brian, and I don't want to talk about him for long because I feel as if all we've done for the last kind of week and a half is talk about him, but no surprise that Yilmaz keeps his place.
No, absolutely not. A really good performance midweek. Getting his goal, getting forward. We certainly, there's no chance we would have seen Borna up that far up the pitch, getting an assist from Lundstrom like that. I just think he's going to get better as he plays more. I think he's one of these guys that needed a run in the team and needed a bit of confidence and, a bit of, right, you've got the next so many games, go and do what you can, go and play how you can. And he's only 22, 23, I believe. So, I still fail to believe there's a universe where we get rid of Ridvan and keep Borna. I just can't see that happening. Obviously,
no, Brian, I understand you have to sell your sellable assets in order to help your team grow. But what I don't understand is, I kind of do, so I'm contradicting myself, right? But why make one area of your pitch extremely weak or a lot more weaker to strengthen another area of your pitch? Because then you're going to have to go and re-strengthen that area of the pitch. So if you continually sell your assets, they're assets for a reason. They're assets because of what age or whatever, but because of how well they play in that position. So do you just spend the next 5, 10, 15 years just replacing each position because you keep getting rid of all your assets?
Well, this is it. It's a vicious. It becomes a vicious circle, and that's the last thing you want. And I don't think Clomo is going to allow the board or certainly his team to be weakened and not strengthened, because that's not the way he operates. So, and then of course, as Davey said earlier, with Coppin coming in as the head of recruitment, I think between the two of them, they'll be finding gems in the wee black book that Coppin's got, and bring them all to the fore. And that is going to be hopefully the model that Coppin's been used to. Buy cheap, sell big. So that's we've been speaking about it for a long time, and hopefully it'll come to fruition.
I've got a wee black book as well, but it's just full of all the local takeaways, all the best takeaways. That's my little black book. Right, very quickly, the manager has spoken to Sky Sports. It's only a minute long, so we'll quickly hear what the manager's got to say, and then we'll come back and give our final thoughts and wrap up.
Philippe, what are you expecting here against St Mirren today?
A difficult game in difficult circumstances, a lot of wind, not the best of pitches to play good football. So we need to adapt in that way, and we're here with one mission, and that's to get 3 points. But it will be less sexy than in other occasions.
Given that, then, are you enjoying playing against different styles in the Scottish Premiership?
No, I just enjoy playing games and winning, and I don't care about styles of other teams or circumstances or whatever. We only have one thought, and that's to win games. And the nice thing is it's challenging that there are different things. So, but it's in every competition like that. It's not only in Scotland.
You've mixed things up today with some changes. What's the thinking there with the likes of Scott Wright coming in today?
Yeah, that it's not only today. We have also the next couple of months a lot of games. So we need to give minutes to players who are coming back out of injury or have played less, because we need all the squad. The next couple of weeks is now our fifth game in really short time, with the 2 friendlies also. And we need everybody, so some fresh legs in, that they can get minutes, that they can show themselves, and like this developing as a squad.
I mean, it's not going to be sexy, Stu. It's really not going to be sexy. And look, he's going to have to get used to these crap pitches.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the league's full of them. Although it's not Livingston or Kilmarnock right enough. So that for me is the where we start. We need to get rid of those pitches first. But yeah, I think he knows what we're in for today. But at the same time, I think it's a bit of he's talking to the media in a way that he has to talk to the media. I think he believes that he can rest players and listen. I think Clermont doesn't take any shit in terms of we're not gonna, we're gonna respect the other team, but we're not gonna show too much respect to them. And I think that if you drop enough players, even if these players are coming in and the jury's out on Scott Wright, we know this. He can do some amazing things, but he can also 2/3 of his game be very underwhelming. I think for Clermont, it's going to be a case of if you can't come in from the cold and produce against St Mirren away, then your future's not at Rangers. And
it's a fair point.
He's exactly the type of manager that we've been crying out for. That I just think he is going to really mold this team into a team with pure winning mentality, especially from the bench as well, because it's not just having a good, strong starting 11, it's having players, because we do play a lot of games a season. And, if you don't exit a cup or Europe early, it's a 60, 70 game season easy. And that means you've got to have a lot of rotation, especially with our injury problems. So these players have got to come in. And like I said with Suter, it's a chance for all these guys to come in and nail down a place, because you just don't know. A player that may be out of favour can come in and all of a sudden he just catches fire and he's away and he becomes one of the first names on the team sheet. It's been done before. So I'm actually quite excited now to see, because now he's had enough time in the door. I'm quite excited to see how these players on the periphery are going to come in and perform under Clermont, that we've now really got this sort of Clermont style. It's not fully in because he's still got to mould the team a bit more, but let's see how we go on now. Players back from injury, a team that's confident. It's exciting, and again from the bench we've got more options now. So I'm actually excited just to get off and watch it now.
I can't believe Stu's actually got me excited about Scott Wright playing. There's a fuss for everything. Well done, Stu. And can I just say that was my point in the Hibs game and the Hibs reaction. At no point did I say that we were poor. We were good. My point was that's us at 20-25% of what we're capable of going on to. That's what I was so excited about, the fact that we went to Easter Road and won extremely comfortably, and there's so much more in the tank. People are saying I said we were poor and all that. I never said that. That's absolute nonsense. David, the manager there, pretty much, confirming that it's rotation just because of simply the amount of games that we're going to have. Silva on the bench today, is that a surprise for you, or has the manager got that spot on?
No, the pitch isn't as open as Easter Road is. It's far more condensed in the way St Mirren play. There's not going to be much space for him to run into. The second half of the game might open up and he can be used to exploit that. Also, I think, Desser's come on and got his goal the other night as well. So he's the man with confidence. He scored two in his last
Davey. Absolute worldie.
No, it was a great goal, and absolute, befitting of his goal collection at Rangers, to be fair. He doesn't score too many bad ones. There's been the odd wee sort of deflected goal, but I mean, he has scored a couple of exquisite efforts, as we saw in Betis, and then
And there we go. That's Davey had it. That is Davey absolutely had it. Brian, just come in on that then quickly with Silva obviously getting dropped down to the bench. I think there's method in that from the manager. I think it's actually quite a smart move. And also we have a real opportunity to put pressure on them, which is something that in the past we've always struggled to do. We came back from the winter break. We went away to a very difficult place, which I think in past seasons we would have dropped points. And not even for a single second did we look like dropping points against Hibs. So we've got a real opportunity now to put a bit of authority down and leave a mark.
Absolutely. As I said earlier, I think Silva's not quite 100% sort of capable of doing 90 minutes. So, to be fair, as I said earlier, Desser's flatters to deceive still, but he's coming up whenever he's coming off the bench, he's scoring a goal or assist. And he's technically our only out and out number 9. So we've got to start playing. It's very difficult when the numbers up the top are so low. But yeah, as you say, Hibs is always a potential banana skin, and this is another one. So, but Clermont and this team have managed to find a way of getting good wins at places that we've found difficult. So it's, as Stu says, I'm quite looking forward to today. The sun's out. Pitch doesn't actually look that bad. So,
are you calling our manager a liar?
No, I'm just saying from the TV camera perspective.
You're going to fall out today, Brian. You're going to fall out.
But no, it's the sort of rotation of the team's got to happen purely just for freshness and with the amount of games. It's just simple as that.
Just quickly address this before I get your predictions. We are the people. Will we ever see Martin at Ibrox on a live stream post podcast? Very doubtful. Very doubtful for a few reasons, and I'm not going to go into them all. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but the Rangers Rabble's face doesn't fit, and we don't have the money. Simple as that. Unfortunately, that is the position that we are in. I tried my best in the past. The guys will tell you how much I pushed and tried to get us in to be able to do stuff like that, but unfortunately, our face doesn't fit in with the football club. That's not too controversial, Stu, is it? I think that's probably about right. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, we've done some little bits here and there from Ibrox before, but yeah, it's obviously it's long gone now.
I would love nothing more than to be able to do that. I would love nothing more than to go to every single Rangers game, but I sacrifice going to a lot of Rangers games to be able to do this, which I absolutely adore and love doing, and I will continue to do it as long as I can. And if there was a way for that to happen, I would absolutely try and make it happen. But unfortunately, at the moment, there is not. Right, okay, quickly, predictions for today, then I'll start with you, Brian. And you're on mute, by the way, just to let you know.
I'll go 2-0 and a Tavernier penalty.
Stu?
I was going to go.
Please be a penalty. I would love it if it was a penalty.
I was going to go 2-0 as well. We haven't conceded away from home in the league since November, so I'm going to carry that on, and I'm going to say 3-0, and let's go with Scotty Hamden Wright. He's going to get the first goal.
I would love that as well. And then his best pal Radvan to come up and give him a big hug. Davey?
I'm going to go 4-1 and John Suter to head in for a corner for the first goal.
I'm going to go 7-0. Right? I'm going to go 7-0 and I'm going to go Sterling for the first goal. And the first goal won't be scored until the 52nd minute. And then after the 52nd minute, St Mirren's arse will collapse and we'll go on and score another 6. Never take my advice, folks, and never bet with something that I say.
I did like some managers' comments about always playing against 10 men against either them or us. So that was a wee dig.
I'll let you into a secret about the St Mirren manager. He hates Rangers and Celtic. He despises them both. So I wouldn't read anything too much into that. He just despises both sides of the old firm, which, I mean, he grew up in Northern Ireland, didn't he? So whatever he fell into back then, he just hates both clubs. Right, okay, that will do us, folks. We'll be back for reaction shortly after full time. I believe it's us 4 back on for reaction, is it? Because I got that wrong the last time. So thank you very much for all your support, guys. Make sure and like and subscribe and follow. All the links are in the description. Look at our sponsors, NordVPN and Football Prizes. Links for that is in the description as well. And we shall see you after what will hopefully be a 7-0 win and Dujon Sterling getting the first goal. We'll speak to you soon.